Welcome to podcasts recorded live at the Center for Spiritual Living in Portland, Oregon. We have many programs, classes, and workshops developed just for our online audience. To find out more, go to our website at cslportland.org and look under the Online tab. Our mission is to open hearts, ignite minds, and make a difference. If you'd like to support our center and its video podcasts, you can donate online at cslportland.org/donate. Allow us to become part of your extended spiritual community. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are most welcome at the Center for Spiritual Living.
Good morning and welcome to the Portland Center for Spiritual Living and to our Facebook Live service. We are a science of mind community that teaches spiritual principles to transform your life and make the world a better place. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. All we ask is that you stay open to the possibility of changing your entire life simply by changing your mind. My name is Nancy Ashley, licensed practitioner here, and it is my honor to welcome you. So we have, if you're new to the center, I invite you to find out more about us on our website, cslportland.org. You'll hear that a lot, cslportland.org, and under the About Us menu tab, you'll find a lot of information about who we are, what we stand for, and how we might serve you. The website also gives details about all the activities here at the center. Everyone is invited to visit our website, and you can sign up to receive an email subscription. So on the home page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a place on the right-hand side, and there's a place to sign up. Subscription options include a free email listing, usually on Tuesday, of everything that's going on at in the center that week. And the second is that you can also enroll in our 365 Earnest Homes program, which is an email that will be sent to your email inbox every day with a lovely background picture and some reflective material presented by Reverend Larry. And you can also enter your birthday to receive an e-card and gift for your birthday, and you don't have to put down the year, just the date. So I'd like to highlight a couple of announcements that are coming up for this week. As usual, our Wednesday meditation is at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And this week is A Vision of Your Perfect Life, presented by licensed practitioner Kathy Batten. We also have continuing the Friday lunch with Reverend Larry, and this has been going on for a year and a half now, since we first went virtual. So at 11:30 Pacific time, 11:30 in the morning, we'll be meeting by Zoom, and lunch is optional, but there's some time to just gather and then have a little bit of spiritual discussion also. We also have online Zoom groups for both the Social Justice Book Club and the Women's 12-Step program, and I facilitate both of those. So, starting in October, this is really exciting, we will be hosting online connection circles. We missed them completely last year, so we're really glad to be getting them back. They're a way to keep the message, the Sunday message, alive through small group discussion, and also to just meet with other like-minded people through the week. So stay tuned. More information will be coming, and online registration for the circles will begin shortly. So I'm going to invite Reverend Marilyn Sprague to come up and speak about our educational offerings.
Thank you, Nancy, and good morning. Yes, be sure to listen for the news of our connection circles as we launch them for fall 2020. Another way of being able to maybe turn away from our hermiting and the feeling of isolation that we may be experiencing with all of the increasing requirements to be safe for COVID is to invest in our consciousness through sacred study. And our education department has a plethora of opportunities for you this fall. And September, we are here in September, and there are 3 opportunities that start in September. The first is a book study facilitated by Reverend Larry called Me and White Supremacy. And the book that is being used is Me and White Supremacy. And it's a way to how to combat racism, heighten consciousness and awareness of ways that we can come together and create the world that works for everyone. So this book study is 5 weeks, facilitated by Reverend Larry, and it's on Tuesday evenings, and it starts September 21st, and it goes through October 19th, and it's from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So, And it is free. There is no cost. The only investment is the willingness of your investing your time and your energy into participating. So be sure to check out that opportunity. The second opportunity for sacred study that is starting in September is a workshop called Clarity, Sacred Covenant Process for My Life Purpose. I am facilitating that one-day workshop. It is on a Saturday. It's September 25th from 10 until 2:30. It's via Zoom, and so there is that opportunity to join us in our virtual classroom and come together. Now, if you're thinking life purpose, like, oh, well, maybe I'm retired or whatever, this is really about how is it that you want Spirit to express its qualities through you for a more enriching and fuller life. So again, Clarity is a one-day workshop that is on September 25th, a Saturday. And we have a certificated class, which is Self-Mastery, the Emergence of the True Self. This is about looking at what is that infinite, immortal, ongoing part of ourself that is the authentic self. Licensed practitioner emerita Kate Barrett is facilitating this class. It is an 8-week class. It is on Monday nights. We were previously talking that it was on Thursday nights, but there's been a change. It is Monday nights from 6 to 9, starting September 27th and going through November 15th. So those are the 3 that start in September, but we don't stop there. This is an entire quarter of sacred study opportunities. In October, we have a 4-week Saturday morning Embracing Abundance Tools for Kingdom, which is a prosperity workshop that is from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific time, Saturdays. It is 4 weeks, starting October 9th through October 30th, and it is facilitated by Reverend Dr. Christina Tillotson. She is the creative genius behind the virtual Holmes Institute, so you'll want to take advantage of that. Then we have another certificated class, and this starts in October also. And this is taught by Reverend Larry King. It's Spiritual Principles and Practices, 5 weeks. It's on a Tuesday evening, October 26th through November 23rd from 6 to 9 p.m. And we're not finished. Then in November, you have an opportunity. So if September's too close, well, you have an opportunity for October. If that's just too close, look at November, because in November, we have the Power of Forgiveness, Walking in the Light of Love. This is a one-day workshop facilitated by myself and licensed practitioner Kathy Batten. It's on November 13th from 9 to 3 p.m. All the information about all of these sacred study opportunities are on our website, cslportland.org. Registration is open. As Nancy says, no, our operators aren't standing by to take your registration, but you can register now. And we really look forward to seeing you in our virtual classrooms, because what I know is that there are brilliant breakthroughs that are occurring every single week in our sacred study opportunities.
Thank you, Reverend Marilyn. And the comment was made to me this week that, even hearing Reverend Larry on Sunday is wonderful, but it's not enough. And I said, well, then you need to take a class, because that's how you get more. So please consider the workshops, the classes, anything to enhance your spiritual progress. Our flowers are again by our own Kat Jacobs, and we thank you, Kat, for doing this for all these months. Our special music today, of course, by our wonderful Friends Band. Thank you, Ken Brewer, Jim Solberg and Donnie Schultz, so thank you. And we have special guest Kellie Jones, who is here today, part of our musical team. And heard her practice some wonderful, lively music for us. Yes. And our message today is the Basics of Affirmative Prayer, which is so basic to our practice here by our own Reverend Larry King. So sit back and relax, because we know that somewhere between the music, the meditation, and the message is exactly what your heart came to receive.
It is not I, but the Spirit within, who does these things. I see before me. It is not I, but the Spirit within. Oh, glory to God. Oh, glory to God. It is not I, but the Spirit within, who does these things. I see before me. It is not I, but the Spirit within. Oh, glory to God. Oh, glory to God.
As we breathe into this moment, this present moment, here and now, we know that Spirit is always with us. Spirit is that essence of love, of wisdom, of peace, wholeness, unity. All of these beautiful qualities are part of life, part of that energy of life that is Spirit, God, whatever we call it. There is only one essence, and it is everywhere present. So that means it's in every part of the universe, in every person, place, and thing. And that means me. So I am a unique, individualized expression of that oneness. And all of these beautiful qualities are in me, as me, through me, and available anytime I bring my consciousness to that place. And so knowing this, and that this is true for me, I know it's true for every person here, every person hearing my word, that we are all part of that oneness of God. And so I just claim and affirm for us today that as we bring our consciousness to the beautiful qualities of Spirit available within us, I know that we are able to create mental equivalents that are what we want in our life purpose, whatever we are choosing for this moment, having that mental equivalent, holding it in our minds, removing anything unlike that, and knowing that this is the truth of our being. That as we hold this mental equivalent of love and life and goodness, this is what the law is manifesting in our lives. And so I know that as we are individualized expressions of that oneness, we are able to bring about this mental equivalent, whatever we choose for our highest and best good, that it is here for us now. And I'm so grateful to know this truth, that we have consciousness, that we are co-creators with Spirit of what is coming in our lives. And so I give thanks for this, for knowing this truth, and that it is always true. And so I just release my word into the action and activity of the law, knowing that the law says yes to all that we claim and affirm for ourselves, with deep conviction, with fire in the belly. We know that this is what Spirit wants us to be manifesting. And so I release this, I let it be, and together we say, and so it is. And as we go into a few moments of silence, I just invite us to think about, to contemplate, what is that I want in my life today? What is it that I want to manifest in my life today as an outspringing of Spirit in my existence?
I can do anything. When I say what I want, walk my walk, it all comes back to me. I can do anything. I release, let go with the flow, it's what I'm supposed to be. Today I say I'll get out of my way and live the life that's best for me. I'll state my claim in Spirit name. I choose my destiny. I can do anything. When I say what I want, walk my walk, it all comes back to me. I can do anything. I release, let go with the flow, it's where I'm supposed to be. Right here, right now, today I choose how to be all I can be. I can heal my life, let go of strife, embrace the mystery. I can do anything. When I say what I want and walk my talk, it all comes back to me. I can do anything. I release, let go with the flow, it's where I'm supposed to be. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it now. What do I want? Do it today. What do I want? Do it. What do I want? Do it today. I can do it. I can do it. I can do anything. 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 I can
gosh, thank you. How wonderful to have Kellie Jones with us today. Thanks so much. I think we can do it too. In fact, I want to talk this whole month about putting the power of prayer to work so that we all can do what we really choose to do in the world. Now, I'm sure there are people out there who may be thinking, a whole month talking about prayer, isn't that a little excessive? Well, not so much when you're a minister, maybe, but I want to invite really everyone to find out some of the benefits of prayer. And today I think that's where I'd actually like to start, is the idea of why we pray. What's the purpose of it? Well, I think there are many different reasons for prayer as they are people. And I want to just focus in on a few of them. Some of us pray just to get closer to Spirit, just that more intimate feeling of being one with the Creator of all things. Some people pray to get closer to their feeling of humanity, that idea of being plugged into the people and situations and, the world itself. Still other people focus in on prayer as a way of, how do I want to say it, almost devotion and love. There's no reason that we shouldn't express a greater devotion to that Creator of all things, to Spirit. And so for some people, praying literally is a down on your knees idea of devotion to the Creator of all life. All of these are wonderful reasons to pray. And I bet you can think of 4 or 5 more that I haven't even covered. One of the things, though, that the science of mind here, and I would say it's true of New Thought religion in general, is the idea, though, of praying for a purpose, the idea of praying for results. And of course, you're familiar with that too. Who hasn't in their life said a prayer before with the idea of changing their circumstances, a prayer for healing or a prayer for love? So we're familiar with that desire, I think, to change our circumstances. And there is within us, of course, that certain knowledge, right, that God has the power to grant or to have those prayers come about. I think we're all in agreement that God is all-powerful, all-wise. Now here, though, I think perhaps in Science of Mind we're a little different, and that's just that the method we use from praying might be a little different than what we're used to. Science of Mind and New Thought in general hearken back to the way that Jesus prayed, which is a little different in many ways than the common prayers that are done today. And so this month we're going to focus in on this idea of spiritual mind treatment, or you might have also heard of it as called affirmative prayer. We're using this wonderful book, Treat Yourself to Life, by Raymond Charles Barker, one of the, he wasn't the founder of the Unity movement, but oh my gosh, in his day, did he have one of the largest Unity churches on the planet and spoke to thousands of people every day. And so this book is a compilation of not only the Unity method of prayer, but some of his own success and some of the success that people going to his church experienced using this idea of affirmative prayer or the idea of spiritual mind treatment. So where do we get started here? Well, I think that maybe we ought to get started with the promise of the book. So let me read to you what he has to say on the back of the book here. He says, Treat Yourself to Life is an acknowledged New Thought classic. It clearly describes and demonstrates the spiritual resources that anyone can use to achieve personal health, prosperity, happy relationships, confidence to express their creative talent. It teaches how to improve conditions in these and in all areas of our life by means of spiritual mind treatment, this idea of affirmative prayer. So I don't know about you, but I am ready for some different outcomes, right? Has the world ever perhaps been more in need of prayer? So throughout this month, we're not only going to be teaching you how to pray for your own outcomes, but also for the sake of so many things in the world right now that could use our prayer support. So I think we're going to have some fun together. And the place that we're going to start next week is the idea of praying for happiness. Reverend Marilyn and I have kind of divided up the month to pray for a various number of things that people want, but who wouldn't want happiness? That's where we're going next week, and I know we're going to have some fun with that. Today, though, I want to talk a little bit about the basics of prayer, and I think a good place to start would be a joke. So in the courtyard outside of the church, a fellow was on his knees praying with a lit cigarette in one hand. Occasionally he would take a puff while in conversation with God. Well, another congregant approached him. "How come you're smoking?" he said. "Well, the priest said I could smoke." "I don't believe you," said the second fellow. "I specifically asked Father James if I was permitted to smoke out here in the courtyard while I was praying." "Ah, that's the difference," said the first fellow. "I asked him, is it possible to smoke and pray at the same time? And he said yes." So I hope that, yeah, I know, not one of my best jokes, but I hope that you notice the difference here, right? It's so often how you ask the question. If we are going to have an effective prayer, what is it that you're treating for? What is the question that you want answered? What is the problem that you want solved from the perspective of the problem being solved? And it leads us in, I think, to a discussion of what Ernest Holmes and other New Thought leaders called the idea of a mental equivalent. I suggest that most of us have spent a good deal formulating mental equivalents in our own mind, but we've formulated them around the problem instead of the solution, right? Have you ever thought about the amount of mental investment you have in describing and feeling and sensing and talking about all the things that are wrong in your life, right? And if it's not your own life, then it's the world in general, the things that are going on in terms of crime statistics or racial injustice or I don't know, wars in the Middle East or pandemics. Don't we spend just an amazing amount of time building up in our mind a vision of what? Of terror, of fear, of things going wrong, of things being wrong. And I got to tell you, those are like a prayer, and prayers are answered. Now, I'm not saying that people sat around dreaming up the pickle that we're in the world right now, but I will say that people, including us, people are creating a mental equivalent that sustains this trouble, that enhances and even grows this trouble through this idea of a mental equivalent. Okay, so what is a mental equivalent? It's simply a strong and accepted picture of the world, of your own life, in your mind. And so we can develop a mental equivalent pretty easily. We can take some notes about how we would like our life to be, how we would like the world to be. And then from there, we can go on to picture it. We can picture in our mind's eye how our life would be going so much better if ... And of course, each one of us are going to fill in the dots a little bit differently. Next week, we're going to fill in the dots about happiness. When you are happy, what is your life like? And I'm going to take you on a journey of dreaming a little bit, daydreaming, if you will, about your life on maybe the happiest day you can imagine. And the purpose of that will be to develop a mental equivalent of happiness for you. And it'll be what's going on that makes you so happy, what's going on in your own heart, the feelings of happiness. It's going to put you in the vision of happiness so that you can feel it, you can sense it, you can begin to live it. And this vision, this mental equivalent is going to begin doing what? It's going to begin dissipating the old mental equivalent of your life as it is now. See, what I believe and what all of the New Thought teachers believe is that your world is created through your own thinking. Your own world is created through this mental equivalent of how you view your life, how you view the world, how you view your chances of success or abundance, or whether you're lovable or not. And so you might say, to pray is to begin chipping away at that old mental equivalent and putting something more powerful, more loving, more abundant, more joyous in its place. Let's get back to prayer there for a minute. What do you think prayer does? You know, sometimes I have the feeling that people think we need to convince God of something, that if only I prayed a little louder or a little more enthusiastically, right, I'd catch God's ear or God's eye, and then God would somehow be convinced, oh, all right, Larry, you finally prayed correctly. Let me bestow on you the good life. But you know what? That's not the way it works. We don't need to convince God that there's a good life. God is living the good life. We don't need to convince God that I'm worthy of anything, because God already knows I'm worthy of everything. So then what does this idea of the spiritual mind treatment, what does it actually do? Am I affecting God in any way? And I would say the answer is actually no. The person that I'm praying to is simply my own higher wisdom self. I'm not convincing God that there's good in the world. God knows that. I'm not convincing God that I'm worthy. God knows that. I'm not convincing God of anything, because the goodness, the loveliness, the beauty, the joy, the peace, all of that is already in God. God gets that, and God would have us experience it. No, I believe, and New Thought teaches, that the only person I have to convince to have the good life is me. And so this month, as we learn this idea of affirmative prayer, as we begin to become more expert at this idea of a spiritual mind treatment, the person we're really working on is yours truly. Can I convince myself that the good life is mine to have? Can I convince myself I'm worthy of love? Can I convince myself that the riches of the universe are here for me to have and to use? Can I convince myself that success is here for me now? Now, some of you I know are laughing. You're like, really? So I'm praying to myself? Well, in a way, yes. Certainly we're praying to something that's larger than ourselves, but it includes ourselves. The way that we say in the science of mind that God is omnipresent is knowing that God is part of us. Our prayers don't need to go anywhere. There isn't like some microphone that if only we yelled a little louder to, then God would hear. God is right here having our thoughts even as we're having our thoughts personally. That's how God is in tune with the universe. God's thoughts are our thoughts and vice versa. It's just how it works. And so when we pray, it doesn't need to go any further than our own thinking. It is our own thinking that is also communicating to that larger intelligence that is spirit. And when we begin having that mental equivalent that I talked about, that includes more joy or more peace or more love, God simply goes, well, yeah, like, of course, and why not? Right? It's simply that creative effect. Now, the other thing that we're going to be talking about this month is the idea of the divine creative process. And that, fortunately, is something that we don't even need to know anything about. It simply is how God acts in the world. God takes the mental equivalent that we've been talking about, that creation of our mind, of our intelligence, and of our imagination. God simply takes that and says, okay, no problem. The joy is yours. The happiness is yours. The peace is yours. It's simply a matter of us having that mental equivalent with some clarity, and then we can turn it over to God. The other thing, though, that I want to talk about today, and there's a quote I think that's interesting in the book to go about it. So I've heard some people say, well, it seems like their prayers are never answered. And I want to address that for a moment, because I wonder if it is a mental equivalent that you've been building around those prayers, or if it's just words. So anyone can sit down and speak out a prayer. Any one of us can sit down at any one time and just say, yes, I am the abundance of the universe, and so it is. Or we can sit down and say, I'm praying for world peace. I'm not really sure how that's going to happen, and I can't really picture it in my own mind, but I can sit down, and especially being a minister, I can probably come up with a convincing set of words that would have you believe that I think I know what world peace looks like. But would it be a mental equivalent of it? Or would it just be words? Let me read from Raymond Charles Barker here, his idea of this. He says, think good thoughts and pray, yes, but realize that good thoughts and words on the surface with a nasty disposition below the surface are merely another coat of paint on the same old house. The fresh paint on the old house does not make it a new house. It simply makes it more attractive on the surface. There are, unfortunately, a great many of us with attractive outer attitudes, but with the same old rubbish underneath. Well, I want to assure you, I don't think that any of us have what did he call it, a nasty disposition underneath. I won't go so that far, but I will say that I have noticed a fair number of people saying one thing, even praying one thing, but their true level of belief is perhaps not at the same level. I have noticed people praying for world peace when they do not have in their wildest imagination a sense of that, a feeling of that, a conviction of that, a mental equivalent of it. For them, it is just words. Likewise, I've had people come to me asking for prayer, and good on them, because what I noticed was they didn't believe in their own hearts what they wanted me to pray for. They wanted love, but they could not see love in their own heart. They did not have the mental equivalent of love, and so therefore, their prayers would have just been words. We have to create this thing called a mental equivalent, or I believe we are putting a fresh coat of paint on an old house. And those prayers are not likely to be acted upon because we already have a mental equivalent of poverty, of lovelessness, of failure, of insufficiency. And if that is our, how do I want to say it? If that's what's in our heart, if that is truly what we believe that's in our heart or that we deserve, we can say whatever words we want, and it will not be sufficient. It will not have that oomph. You know, when Nancy did the opening prayer, she talked about having a fire in our belly. Well, if it's just words, there will be no fire in the belly. We do have to have that oomph. We have to have that excitement. We have to have that acceptance and that belief. This thing that I desire is for me. World peace is here. I can taste it. I can feel it. I see myself in it. I see myself acting upon it. And whether you're praying for the world or whether you're praying for your own, job interview coming up, there does need to be that activity, that emotion, that color, and that acceptance. We have to have that picture in our mind of me in that new job, me dressing for that new job, me being on time and ready to work. It's not just a job interview. It is having the job, being the job, living in the job, experiencing it, having that gusto for it. That is what creates the mental equivalent so that when you go to the job interview, everyone there already pictures you as the person with that job. It's that spiritual confidence. It is that mental image that when we pray about it, God just simply says, well, of course. And let's speed it up. Actually, would you like to play along with me? We'll get ready for next week. Next week, we're going to talk about this idea of creating a treatment, a science of mind, or affirmative prayer, if you will, about happiness. But I think that some of you may not actually have a current and strong mental equivalent of happiness. So I ask you to indulge me. Just close your eyes. It'll just take a couple minutes. Close your eyes and use your mind, if you'd like a time machine. My gosh, our minds are so wonderful. We can picture and envision events from the past just as easily as we can envision the world around us today. And so for right now, I'd like you to envision a time in the past when you were incredibly happy. It might have been some special event like a birthday or a celebration. It might have been a wedding day or a day that your first child was born or any number of events. But simply in your own mind, picture that perfect day of happiness. If you can, fill in a lot of the details about it. What was going on? Were you by yourself? Were you with other people? Were you surrounded by friends and family, or were you out on a walk by yourself? Recreate in your mind's eye that particular day of such sweet and profound happiness. The elements of it, what was going on, what you were wearing, and more importantly, what you were feeling. See if you can have your heart right now open up and experience that happiness again. Imagine that you're in that day right now, reliving it, and open your heart to sense that happiness. Feel those sensations of freedom or love or whatever was going on that helped move you into that day of perfect happiness. Can you feel it? Can you see it? There may even be smells and tastes, right? Maybe there's that birthday cake, or maybe there's that scent of the outdoors. Notice every little detail. All right, well, you can open your eyes. That is a mental equivalent. And did you see that with very little preparation or study, you didn't need to have a class on that part of it, right? Couldn't you sense that happiness in your own heart and in your own mind? Couldn't you picture yourself in it? You know, you've already got the 90% of actually doing a wonderful spiritual mind treatment. It's that prototype. It's that mental equivalent of what you want. So much of our lives, we spend focusing on what we don't want, reacting to the negativity that's in the world. And of course, God says, well, really? Well, okay, if that's what you want to focus on. Here we've done something different, though. Can you feel the difference? Can you feel how attractive you were? You know, it's interesting. Have you ever been to like a party or a get-together, and there was like that one person that when they came into the room, it's like, you know, it's like the cameras all swivel, right? That attractiveness is because that person in that moment has an incredible mental equivalent that is turning, sometimes we call it charisma, but whatever you want to call it, that is the strength of a powerful mental equivalent of poise, of love, of joy, of confidence, and it acts just like a magnet. And not only are people attracted to it, but spirit itself is attracted to it. It provides a greater experience of that mental equivalent always. If you ever want to prove this to yourself, do what we just did right before you enter a room, and you will discover all eyes will be on you because you are attracting to you that happiness. And who wouldn't want to be, right? Who wouldn't want to be right with you in the midst of that happiness? So try that out. If you have any doubts that the idea of a mental equivalent doesn't work, try it for yourself and let me know. Because I have found it to be true 100% of the time. Well, today we've talked about several important things We've talked about the idea of this spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. It's the kind of prayer that we're going to be working on this entire month. We have mentioned that there are other forms. All prayer is good. All prayer is useful. But we're going to be focusing on this kind of praying this month that allows you to change conditions. We talked about the idea of a mental equivalent, how important it is to be able to know and visualize and accept what we want as opposed to what we don't want. So many of our prayers are to relieve us from symptoms, but we spend all of our time focused on the symptoms. Affirmative prayer focuses on the desired outcome. It's building that mental equivalent of what we do want. And finally, we talked about the idea, the difference between it just being words and having that passion, having that acceptance. Do you really view yourself as having that outcome, or is it just words? Are you just being hopeful, but somehow in your heart of hearts, you know that that's not for you? It's not likely. There's the case where we need to build up that more positive mental equivalent in whatever way we can. All right, homework. Of course, you knew there would be homework, right? So next week, if we're going to be doing a spiritual mind treatment about happiness, you have to come prepared with that mental equivalent. So we did a little bit of it in the service today, right? I had you envision a time when you were perfectly happy. Your homework this week is to become skilled at bringing up that mental equivalent in your mind. I would like it that if a stranger were to stop you on the street and just say, well, what does happiness mean to you? That there would be no pause. You'd immediately launch into a little, well, almost like a recipe for happiness. This is what makes me happy. This is how I feel when I'm happy. Here are the things I like to do when I'm happy. Here are the feelings that come up when I am happy. It's like you would just start chattering away as though someone had asked you what the weather was like. Do you know what I mean? It's right on the tip of your tongue. This is what happiness is to me. And if you come with that next week, I promise you, we will develop a science of mind treatment, one of these affirmative prayers, that will bring you lasting happiness. So I'm going to close from another quote from the book and, of course, a prayer. He says, this book is not written to give you faith. Please look towards your church for that. Instead, it is written to show you how to translate your faith into productive thinking, to produce the results that you want. You are producing in life only a fraction of what you really want. You watch a few achieve, and then you alibi yourself into the docility of failure. But life takes you at your own evaluation. God has never limited humankind and doesn't limit you. In fact, every religious system has proclaimed that God is and is always inspiring you to greater and finer achievements. But if God is for you, then certainly you had better be for yourself. Let us pray. There is one power, one presence, one life, one love, one joy, one beauty. There's only this one thing in all of its many forms, and I choose to call it God. And what I know about God is that God is that creative force in the universe, that all of our thoughts eventually turn into things, that it is our own mentality, our own mental equivalent, our own way of thinking and accepting the world around us that powers it, that creates it, that moves us forward. And so on this day, I claim with authority that we are powered by the positive mental equivalence of our own choosing, that we can let go of that negativity of the past. We can let go of mental equivalents that no longer serve us, and instead picture ourselves in luxury. Picture ourselves in love. Picture ourselves having the health and the vitality that we desire, creating a mental equivalent of the good life, however it is defined. And so this week, I know as we embark upon our homework, as we begin visualizing ourselves in ever greater degrees of happiness, I know that this catches that cosmic mind, that this involves that law of creation that we'll be talking about next week. And the happiness begins out picturing, even before the prayer is spoken. And for this, I give great thanks. For this, I simply bless the way it works, God itself. I let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you so much for being here today. So glad you're here. Now is our time of conscious contribution. I invite you to take your gift or your tithe in your hand. Please feel free to go online and do your support through our automated system at cslportland.org/donate. You'll see a variety of ways to have your contribution sent in electronically. And while you're doing that, I also wanted to just read a letter that we received recently. During the pandemic, so many different social agencies have been having such trouble that we have maintained our own list of community partners and continued making our donations of time and money to them. And we got a lovely letter back from Dressed for Success, Oregon this week that I wanted to share with you. She says, where am I here? My gosh, maybe I need glasses. There it is. All right. Your generous gift received on June 17th supports women as they find and retain work, support their families, and find economic stability and mobility. The ripple effect of your support has a long reach, and it goes on to talk about the many people that over this last year our gift has touched. And it also singles out the fact that right now, perhaps more than ever, as women are re-entering the workforce after the absence that the pandemic has caused, that it is through donations such as ours that they're able to go to those job interviews and participate in ways that perhaps they wouldn't have been able to. So anyway, I just wanted to share that letter with you, where we are keeping up our promises to our local organizations in their time of need. But for now, I think we ought to have Kellie Jones back up for another wonderful song. Come on up, Kellie.
Thank you. I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new, and don't it feel good to know all is well and unfolding as it should. I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you, and don't it feel good to know all is well and unfolding as it should. Let me hear you say all is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in spirit, I am fed by the divine. I'm one with all that is, my soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you, and don't it feel good to know all is well and unfolding as it should. Let me hear you sing all is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well. Oh, it feels good. Just know that my soul is free. I'm free from time. I can clear my mind. Don't you know that? Let me hear you say all is well and
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
Gosh, what a pleasure to have you with us this week. Just a quick couple reminders. First of all, thank you so much for your online donations. It means the world to us that we can continue our message of just power and personal empowerment and love, reaching out to the world through the teachings of these spiritual principles. So thank you so much. Other quick reminder, during the month of September, we are closed. So thank you for participating with us online this month. We'll keep you posted. We're hoping that in October we'll be up to having folks back in person, but keep checking our website, cslportland.org, for more information. At least through the month of September, we'll be virtual only. So bless you for tuning us in. You can see us, of course, on Facebook Live, as you might be watching right now. Later in the week, we will be on our YouTube channel with a rebroadcast available. And, of course, you can catch up with us on our podcast at CSL Portland. Right on the front page, you can see a listing of our regular podcasts. So bless you all for being here. And I think it's time for a closing song. Marcy, would you like to come up and bless us with some closing music? Hey.
I am love, I am loving, I am loved. I am love, I am loving, I am loved. It's the truth of who I am. If I forget, Spirit reminds me again. I am love, I am loving, I am loved. You are love, you are loving, you are love. You are love, you are loving, you are love. It's the truth of who you are. Shine your light near, yes, near and far. You are love, you are loving, you are love. We are love, we are loving, we are love. We are love, we are loving, we are love. It's the truth of who we are. Shine our light near, yes, near and far. We are love, we are loving, we are love. You are love, you are loving, you are love. I am love, I am loving, I am love.
If you happen to be in the Portland, Oregon area, we'd love to have you visit in person. The Portland Center for Spiritual Living is located at 6211 Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We have inspirational services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. every Sunday. We also have many programs, classes, and workshops developed just for our online audience. To find out more, go to our website at cslportland.org and look under the Online tab. We have a variety of content dedicated specifically for our online listeners. Our mission is to open hearts, ignite minds, and make a difference. If you'd like to support our center, you can donate online at cslportland.org/donate. Our website is also the place to learn more about what's going on at the center or to contact us. Allow us to become part of your extended spiritual community. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are most welcome at the Center for Spiritual Living.